ever found yourself overreacting to something that logically shouldn't be a big deal? Like someone cut you off in traffic and suddenly you're ready to write them out of your will, even though they were never in it? Or you get a text message that just says, sure. And now you're spiraling through 15 years of rejection and wondering if you're even likable? Yeah, that's not just you. That's your nervous system and possibly old wounds driving the bus. And guess what? They didn't even stop to pick up consciousness on the way. Hi, I'm Dr. Heidi Heron, and today we are exploring the question, are you acting from wholeness or from wounds? Because when we live from consciousness, that question can change everything. Now, let's break it down. We all have got wounds, emotional bumps and bruises that we've collected over the years, little hurts, big traumas, moments we decided something about ourselves that simply wasn't true. Stuff like, I'm not lovable, I'm too much, I have to do everything myself, I'm not safe unless I'm in control. And these beliefs are like apps running in the background of your mind. They chew up your battery, they slow your system down, and they hijack your responses, especially when you're tired or you're triggered or just not being present. And here's the kicker. These wounded parts of us often think they're protecting us. They're the inner 7-year-old with a clipboard and a walkie-talkie saying, don't worry, I've got this. We'll just shut down emotionally and everything will be fine. But the thing is, we're adults now. We've got more tools. And it might be time to gently take that clipboard away. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Living from wounds feels like fate. Living from wholeness, that feels like freedom. So what's wholeness? Wholeness is when we're not fragmented on the inside. It's when the different parts of you, the achiever, the dreamer, the worrier, the wild child, the tired introvert, are working together, not fighting for control. Wholeness is presence. It's response, not reaction. It's when you make a choice that feels aligned with who you truly are, not who you became as a survival strategy. In NLP, we work with this through parts integration. We help people to connect the parts of themselves that have been in conflict. It's one of my favorite tools to facilitate because when people meet their inner protectors with compassion instead of criticism, something shifts. Suddenly, the part that used to yell gets quiet, and that part that used to avoid shows up. And the whole system starts to breathe again. One of my clients recently said, she said, I've stopped arguing with myself. That's wholeness. But let me be clear, wholeness doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you never feel triggered. It means that when you are triggered, you know how to meet yourself with curiosity instead of shame. It's like this. Imagine your inner world is a boardroom and you've got different voices sitting at the table, each one trying to run the show. But when you're not conscious, the loudest, most panicked voice usually wins. That's the wounded part. But when you live from consciousness, you take the seat at the head of the table. You listen, you lead, you choose. There's a great metaphor in Michael Singer's work. He says, your inner growth is completely dependent on the realization that the only way to find peace and contentment is to stop thinking about yourself. What he means is when we live from our wounds, we're constantly interpreting life through the lens of, what does this mean about me? Wholeness doesn't need that. Wholeness trusts. Now, how do you know which one you're operating from? It's not always obvious, but here are a few clues. If you feel urgent, defensive, over-explaining, or shrinking, controlling, or suddenly very sure that someone else is wrong, that might be a wound. If you feel open, still, spacious, curious, or quietly confident, even if it's uncomfortable, probably wholeness. One of my favorite personal tools is simply asking myself, who's speaking right now? Is it the conscious me, the present me, the resourced me? Or is it a part of me that's carrying something old? And if it's the latter, I don't judge it. I get curious. I get kind. And I bring it into the room because wounds don't need to be silenced. They need to be seen. When you bring consciousness to the wounded part, something beautiful happens. They soften, they settle, they stop trying to get your attention through sabotage or shutdown and instead become part of your inner team. That's what healing looks like. Not removing the scars, but learning how to live from the whole self that's always been there, underneath it all. One of my favorite quotes comes from Leonard Cohen. He says, "There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." Your cracks don't make you broken, they make you human. They make you real. They make you someone who can sit with another person in pain and not flinch. When you start living from your wholeness, people feel it. They trust you more. You trust yourself more. And life gets a little lighter, a little clearer, a little more you. So if you notice you're reacting today, snapping, withdrawing, overthinking, pause. Ask, is this coming from me apart? Is this coming from a part of me that needs love or from wholeness that knows that I already am? Because every time you choose to lead with consciousness, you change the story, not just for you, but for everyone who's ever been watching you, for everyone who shows up in your world. So thanks for being here and thanks for listening. And thanks for being brave enough to meet all the parts of you, especially the ones that didn't get the memo that you're already safe now. I'll see you next time.